This is the best fantasy football strategy this year. The worst thing that you can possibly do in your draft this year is have absolutely no plan of attack. So do yourself a favor, watch this video to the end so that you can stop giving your league mates a yearly donation and start taking their money. What's up, guys? I'm Jay with Fantasy Football Daily, and my goal is to help you guys win as many championships as possible using historical data and trends. Fantasy football is a probability-based game, so our approach is always to look for data that can give us an edge over our league mates. In today's video, I will be giving you my targets in each of the first 8 rounds, and I will include possible pivots in each round. Then we'll run through a few mock drafts to take a look at some unique spots. So without further ado, let's dive right into my draft strategy for this year. So the first few rounds will be the most crucial for your team. This will likely make or break your season, so make sure to pay attention and do your homework here. In the first round this year, you want to come out with an elite wide receiver. With running backs having such high bust and injury rates, plus there's no longer really any bell cow running backs anymore, and it's easier to plug and play a running back off of waivers versus a wide receiver, because remember, wide receiver is a skill-based position while running back is an opportunity-based position. So in the perfect world, we're coming out of the first round with one of these wide receivers: Jay Jettas or Chase, Tyreek Hill, or Stephon Diggs. Now, arguments could be made for Cooper Kupp as well here, but he has the most red flags of any of the first 12 picks. I talk about it in this video right here, so that's why I have these guys ahead of him. Additionally, if you got the short end of the stick in the draft order, I don't mind taking CeeDee Lamb, who should definitely be there at the end of round 1. The only running backs I'd consider in the first round this year are probably CMC and Bijan Robinson. I'd probably have Nick Chubb and Saquon as the next running backs that I take, fading Eckler for the most part this year. Round 2, we're going to look to draft a second elite wide receiver. Now, this round will depend on who's available when that sweet on-the-clock music plays. My targets in this round are CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, AJ Brown, Amon-Ra, the Sun God himself, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave. Now, most of the time, CeeDee will go at the end of the first, but I've seen him fall into the second a few times, so I keep him on this list. All of these wide receivers have potential top 10 upside and beyond. Having one top 10 wide receiver is pretty cool, but having two is fucking awesome. Now, 2 wide receivers that I'm mostly avoiding in this round are Devontae Smith and T. Higgins. Look, I have a lot of love for both of these guys, but at their current ADP, you are paying a premium for where they will likely end the season. I consider both these guys top 16 wide receivers, with the top of their range probably around that wide receiver 12 area, unless there's an injury to the wide receiver 1 on their team. Their prices right now are wide receiver 13 and wide receiver 14, so there's no room for error, which is why I like to avoid them here in the second round. If none of these wide receiver targets are available when your pick is up in the second round, that probably means you got an early pick in the first round and are off to a good start. So I don't mind pivoting here and going for a top running back in round 2. That could give you the advantage of having a top 5 elite wide receiver and a top 5 elite running back. The running backs I'm targeting in this round are Saquon Barkley and Tony Pollard. I'm hesitating on Jonathan Taylor as of this recording due to his contract and injury situation. If by the time you watch this video everything has been resolved, then I don't mind taking him here as well. If not, I'm probably avoiding him this year. Round 3, let's draft our RB1. If you've stuck to the plan so far and the chips have fallen in your favor, you should have 2 elite wide receivers as you stroll into round 3. Now here we got to make a few decisions which will affect the rest of our draft. Ideally, if I've gone 2 wide receivers the first 2 rounds, I'm probably looking for my RB1 in round 3. My targets here are Stevenson and Breece Hall. I used to also have Josh Jacobs here, but with his holdout situation, I've been skipping him lately. Depending on how his situation plays out, he could be a target in this round. Now, in the third round, you could also opt for an elite QB or elite tight end. By round 3, Patrick Mahomes is most likely already gone, so the other 2 options are going to be Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. The way I'm ranking QBs this year are actually the opposite of how they're going off the board. I have Josh Allen first, Jalen Hurts second, and Mahomes third. I prefer the QBs with rushing upside before Pat. For tight end, Mark Andrews is probably the only tight end I'd take in the first 6 rounds. Kelce is way too expensive in round 1 for my taste at his age 33 season, and Andrews has shown that he can keep up with Kelce, and he comes at a 2-round discount. Now, if you really want to be wild and live life on the edge, you can continue here with a 0 RB strategy and go with Calvin Ridley if he's available here. He is the one wide receiver that I like in these 2 next rounds. Ridley was a top 5 wide receiver his last full season, scoring 18.9 points per per game. He also gets open at an insane rate when charted by Matt Harmon's reception perception. Now he's on an even better offense that is going to pass and score a lot. Reports from camp media, his coaches, his QB, and even other wide receivers on his team are all high praise. I'm happy to take him here if I want to do the 0 RB or if I deviated in round 1 or 2. I think he could easily have a top 10 or even maybe a top 5 finish this year. He's currently going in the 3rd round as a wide receiver 16. Round 4. Draft your RB2. I'm usually looking to go running back again here. Now, I love me some Jahmyr Gibbs, but you're probably going to have to be at the top of the 4th round in order to be able to grab him. He has 12th overall draft capital, 91st percentile speed score, an early breakout, and an early declare. Over the last decade, every single running back drafted inside the top 12 finished as a top 10 running back their rookie years. Do not be afraid to grab the rookie in the 4th round. My other target in this round is Najee Harris. I think people forgot what he did his rookie year and that the first half of last year he played injured with a steel plate in his shoe. The Steelers O-line has improved this year and I expect Kenny Pickett to take a step forward. After the bye week, Najee Harris put up 15.8 points per game and was the RB6 from week 11 on. He is a dark horse candidate to once again finish top 5 this year if he can continue putting up those type of numbers and catching passes. If those twos are gone, then we again must pivot. I don't mind taking ETN here, maybe even a shot on Mixon, who's had 4 top 12 finishes in his last 4 healthy seasons. If you need to take a wide receiver because of a pivot that you made in an earlier round, then my targets here would be Jerry Jeudy, Watson, Drake London, and then Hopkins. Round 5. Draft your QB. In this round, I'm looking to grab a top elite QB. If you were lucky enough to grab Chase, you can stack him right here at that 4-5 turn with Burrow. However, if he's off the board, my next targets are Justin Fields and Justin Herbert. Both QBs are primed to have big years. Fields finished top 8 last year without even having a passing attack. He was basically a running back playing QB with the occasional throws. If we expect him to take another step forward this year, he would easily be in that top 5 conversation. Herbert also struggled last year, but for a different reason. He suffered a rib injury in week 2 and his numbers dropped after that. Also, basically all his wide receivers were injured the majority of the season. His O-line was also banged up, and all this led to him throwing 13 touchdowns less than the year before. So I'm expecting a positive regression. Now he's back healthy, has a new contract, a shiny new toy that the Chargers used on their 1st round draft pick, a new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, who in the last 4 seasons ranked number 2 in the NFL in total offense and points per game. His offense was also the NFL's 4th best passing offense. So I am happy grabbing either of these guys here and trying to get a couple stacks on the back end of the draft. If you deviated anywhere before here and need a wide receiver or running back, my targets would be Christian Kirk, Brandon Ayuk, Deontay Johnson, and Hollywood Brown. I don't really like any running backs in this range, but if you're desperate, you could take a shot on an aging Aaron Jones or young Kenneth Walker. Madison's been getting some camp hype. In round 6, we're targeting players with the most upside. My targets in this round are JSN, Tyler Lockett, Cam Akers, and Jordan Addison. JSN could legit lead this team. He's that good of a prospect. But on the same team, I love Tyler Lockett. Dude has been the epitome of consistency and overlooked. He is literally one of the best separators in the league. Reception perception charted him as a 96th percentile versus man, 86th percentile versus zone, and 84th percentile versus press. That is elite route running, folks. Next, I've spoken about Akers before. He's one of my dark horse running backs to possibly finish top 12. He's currently going as running back 24. I will buy that all day. Finally, Jordan Addison landed in the perfect situation. I wouldn't be surprised if he had a great season as well in the Vikings high passing offense. He's going as wide receiver 36. I can see him in that top 16 range by next year, like Devontae Smith or T. Higgins. In round 7, we're gonna look to take a tight end. Now, depending on your draft spot, you might have to reach for this player in round 6. Generally, I don't recommend reaching on guys unless he is absolutely one of your guys, and Darren Waller is one of my guys. In this range, you will see guys like Kyle Pitts and Goddard as well. I'm a bit off them this year. Pitts coming off an injury, Goddard being the 3rd option in a low passing offense. For a tight end to have a shot at having an elite season, they need to have a lot of targets, which usually means being the 1st option on the team, or an offense with high passing volume. If Waller stays healthy, he will be the number 1 option in New York. Other players I like here, if he's gone or you deviated in earlier rounds, Dotson was incredible last year when he was on the field, and I think that he can take a step forward this year. Montgomery, the Lions have a top 5 ranked O-line, and we saw what Jamal Williams did in that role last year. Montgomery is basically a better version of Jay Will. DeAndre Swift, known for being efficient with his touches. If he can stay healthy and get opportunities in Philly, the number 1 ranked O-line in the league, he could could surprise some people this year. Quentin Johnston, the perfect stack if you went with Herbert as your QB. You can take a shot with this rookie. I think it's only a matter of time in this high-powered offense. James Conner, if you need a running back, he's been a high-volume play in Arizona. Still no competitions for touches there. Rashad White, I've spoken before about how he could be this year's Josh Jacobs if he becomes a 3-down back. Javonte Williams at this price, I think, is an easy pick as well. He's young, was one of the best running backs before his injury. If he's healthy, he'll easily beat that running back 27 ADP. Deshaun Watson, if you missed out on an elite QB, this is the last one before a teardrop. Round 8 and beyond, the idea here is basically target high upside players that will outperform their ADP. From here on out, we're basically rinse and repeating every round, aiming for high upside players. I like targeting rookies like Zay Flowers, second-year players like James Cook, or third-year players like Elijah Moore. Other QBs to target, look to stack with one of your elite wide receivers if you haven't done so already, like Kirk Cousins with JJ or Addison, Geno Smith with JSN or Lockett, Jared Goff with St. Brown, Dak with CD, Tua with Tyreek or Waddle. Also look for rookie running backs who are buried in the depth charts who could be an RB1 if an injury occurs. All right, now we're going to use Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard to do a few quick mock drafts with this strategy in mind. We're going to do a 12-team PPR. I'm going to randomize the draft position. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex, defense and kicker. I'm giving the wide receiver position value, putting it on high, and rookies slightly high. So from the 7th spot here, we can see that this is pretty much how the majority of drafts have been going so far this year. At the 7th spot, your choices are pretty much Diggs, Bijan, maybe Saquon if you want to take that route, or CD. For me, this is an easy Diggs pick here. I'm back on the clock, and again, I'm looking to take another elite wide receiver. St. Brown, one of my targets, fell to me, an easy pick here. So far, we have the perfect start, 2 elite wide receivers. Now it's time to start looking for a running back. So our target here was Stevenson and Breece Hall. We have Breece Hall available here, so that's an easy click right here. Now you'll notice that Najee got picked here at the beginning of the 4th round, and Gibbs went here at the 404. So we're gonna have to deviate here and look elsewhere. If I had Chase, I'd consider Burrow here and get that stack. But since I don't have him, my next highest rated player here is going to be Jerry Jeudy. Round 5, looking for one of the top 8 elite quarterback options. We have Herbert and Lawrence. If I had Ridley, I'd probably go Lawrence here, but since I don't, I'm gonna just go Herbert and try to stack him up on the back end. Now round 6, it gets a little tricky because I'm right in the middle. So if I don't take Waller here, he most likely will not make it back to me. So I'm gonna just go ahead and grab my guy. So now in the 7th round, I'm gonna do what I should have done in the 6th round since I reached for my guy. I'm gonna look for the player with the most upside here. I wanna go Addison, but Hollywood Brown usually goes in the 5th round. So I'm gonna go with this value here that's dropped to me in the 7th round. And then in the 8th round and beyond, rinse and repeat, right? Looking for players with high upside, looking for value. Here I like Elijah, I like QJ. I'll probably go QJ here to stack with my QB. Let's see what our roster looks like after 8 rounds. We have Herbert, Breece Hall, Diggs, St. Brown, Waller, Jeudy, Hollywood, and Johnson. Now I know we don't have a second RB and we had to deviate because the value just wasn't there for me. But what we've done is we've avoided that running back dead zone, which is usually between rounds 4 through 7. And now on the back end, we can stack up on the running backs, take a bunch of different shots. And remember, all we need is for one of them to get that opportunity, because wide receiver is a skill-based position, running back is an opportunity-based position. So I'd happily grab Herbert, the rookie Charbonnet here, McKinnon, Algier, Roshan, Tyj, and look to fill out the roster with running backs like that. So let's do one more mock draft from a different position this time. I'm gonna randomize it. All right, let's do the 10th position this time. So at 10, I'm looking to do the same thing, right? Looking for an elite wide receiver. Now, if you wanted to deviate here to Bijan that dropped to 10, I don't mind that either, but I'm personally going wide receiver here. Here, once again, we have St. Brown. That's an easy pick here in the 2nd round. 3rd round, Breece Hall staring at me in the face. Easy pick there. 4th round, Gibbs and Najee are gone, but we have ETN here, so we can go ahead and hit that. We have 2 elite running backs and 2 elite wide receivers right off the bat. Don't worry too much about bye weeks. Always choose the best player. Never make a decision due to bye weeks. Figure that out throughout the season. At the end of the 5th, we're going QB. We have Lawrence there available. Easy pick. Here we are again early in the 6th round. If we want Waller, we're gonna have to pick him here. If not, we pretty much have to punt the position. So for the sake of this video, I'm gonna punt it this time just so that we can see what it looks like. Here I like going either Lockett or Ayuk. I'm gonna go Lockett. Waller's gone as we imagined. Now we do have Goddard here. I don't hate it, but I think the upside on some of these other players is better than Goddard. So here for me is between Dotson and Addison. I'm gonna go with Addison because they're both second options on the team. So I'm looking for the team that's gonna pass more. And Dotson ended up falling to me again in the 8th. So that's an easy pick right there. So let's look at our roster through 8 rounds. We have Lawrence, Breece Hall, ETN, CD, St. Brown, Lockett, Addison, and Dotson. Now the rest of this draft, I'm looking for running backs and eventually taking a shot on tight end. If you want to stack, Ingram wouldn't be a bad choice here. If not, I'll probably wait it out to Dulcich, Higbee, maybe even Chig, Gerald Everett, Kincaid, Laporta. So plenty of options on the back end. So let me know what you guys think of this strategy. Remember, the idea is not for you to target the same exact players as me. These are my personal preferences, but the overall idea is to have a strategy going into your draft, knowing who you're gonna get in each round, who your targets are, where you're gonna pivot, and how you're gonna construct your roster. I know you might have some questions about who I chose in the first round, so check out this video that I'm putting on the screen right now, where I tell you why I'm avoiding 3 players in the first round, and I think the third one who finished as the top running back of last year might surprise you. Make sure to smash that like button, and if you're new here, consider subscribing.